can!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. On the show today, no victory parade, but a parade of rewards, cash prizes, recognition and brand endorsements all lining up. What have the women woken up to post the Cricket World Cup win, and is this just the honeymoon phase, or will the joyride continue? Baseball series concludes with yet another chapter of hostility between Canada and USA, with a Football World Cup that will be co-hosted by these two just months away. Are these warning signs now? Will they succeed in evading a diplomatic disaster? And Kashmir's first big attempt at a sporting spectacle ends in a scam, with international cricketers being locked in and the organisers fleeing. How will this impact India and Kashmir's sporting dreams post-Pahalgam? But first, the headlines on Sports 360. We'll start with cricket. Pakistan made a winning start under new ODI captain Shaheen Shah Afridi. They beat Proteus by 2 wickets in the first match. Put into bat first, South Africa were bowled out for 263. Naseem Shah picked up 3 wickets. Salman Ali Agha scored 62 while chasing the target, and Mohammad Rizwan contributed with 55 to help the hosts take a 1-0 lead in the 3-match series. Some bad news for Pakistan cricket star pacer Haris Rauf will miss the ODI series as he has been suspended for 2 matches. Rauf was penalised by the ICC for breaching the code of conduct in the Asia Cup final. With an earlier offence, Rauf has now reached 4 demerit points in the last 2 years. India captain Surya Kumar Yadav and Pakistan batter Shahibzada Farhan have also been fined their match fees and have been handed demerit points. Moving to football, Trent Alexander-Arnold's homecoming turned sour as Liverpool beat Real Madrid 1-0 in the UEFA Champions League. Alexis McAllister scored the only goal of the match as the Reds produced a defensive masterclass. In more heartbreak for Arnold, he was booed by the English fans and his mural in the city was vandalized. In tennis and the year-ending WTA finals, world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka edged past Jessica Pegula in a group stage match. After losing the second set, Sabalenka bounced back to win the match 6-4, 2-6, 6-3. With 61 wins, she is now the only player to win over 60 matches in one season as world number 1 since 2013. Serena Williams was the last to do it. And summing it up with chess, India experienced a mixed day at the FIDE World Cup in round 2. Gukesh Domaraju, Vidit Gujarati and Pragyananda were held in the first games. They now face a must-not-lose situation in the second match to stay alive in the event. These girls are now gold. Now, I dislike repeating myself, but can't help reminding you that these are the very same women who not too many days ago were told to go back to the kitchens, who are now commanding a whole nation to sit up, listen to them, acknowledge them and give them what they truly deserve. What has the turnaround been like, and how has this impacted these cricketers financially and, of course, when it comes to the commercial and sports market? Now, many athletes spend a lifetime trying to win big. That is, achieve what they always dreamed of course, and importantly, get the recognition that they've worked towards. Many end up doing the first part all right with no luck in the latter. Many of these women, the seniors, particularly like Harmanpreet Kaur, have lived a lot of their lives exactly doing this, making the country proud with no return investment. Come a World Cup win, an eye-opening World Cup at that, and at home, and suddenly the strokes are different. The hype is unbelievable, the excitement is palpable, and the endorsement, it's sky high. It's like the floodgates have opened and the women are suddenly superstars. First, the cash prize itself. This edition of the World Cup saw the highest. The Indian squad took home $4.48 million. And guess what? The Indian Cricket Board gave a separate cash award to the winning team, an amount more than the winner's cheque of $6 million. That's not all. Various others also jumped in to stake their claim and show their support to their star. The state of Himachal Pradesh announced a cash award of $120,000 for pacer Renuka Singh. The state of Madhya Pradesh announced the same, that's $120,000 for Kranti Gould. Punjab Cricket Association will reward Harmanpreet Kaur and Amanjot Kaur $12,000. Deepti Sharma was made DSP in Uttar Pradesh. An industrialist pledged diamond jewelry and rooftop solar panels for each team member. Well, I call it creativity. And that's not it. India's captain Harmanpreet Kaur's historic triumph will be commemorated by a wax statue of hers that will be resurrected in Jaipur's Nahargarh Fort. It will be unveiled next year, supposedly on International Women's Day. What a way to wax eloquent here. But more than anything, brands have queued up to get these women on board. This World Cup win has triggered a massive jump in brand endorsements. The fees have reportedly scaled up from anywhere between 25% for a few to even 100% to some others who clearly weren't even being seen till this particular tournament. A lot of the stars of this campaign is what the focus is on, primarily the captain and vice captain, of course, and of course some breakout stars and top performers who would see a 30 to 50% jump in endorsement fees, with emerging players, of course, moving into the higher fee brackets. Now, what this clearly is telling us is that these women stars, who apparently were just good enough to sit at home not too long ago, are now commercial assets, capable of being a brand, of being the face of campaigns. A World Cup that was topsy-turvy, an emotional roller coaster ride for these women, has now resulted in a deluge of offers, people all lining up, fee negotiations and renegotiations and more. Here's the truth though, despite all this, despite this gold rush and the recognition, the words of praise that's being heaped and all the attention that's being trained on them, the gulf between men's and women's endorsements when it comes to cricketers still remain very wide, bigger than you can imagine. Now, while for many of us who've watched some of these women for many years, the overwhelming feeling is this is about time. But for many who are studying the industry and who are probably aware of the cycle when it comes to these moments, these episodes, it very well could be a post-win buzz. The whiff of a newly minted champion, the first especially for women cricket. How long will that aura last? That doesn't depend on these women. It doesn't depend on these athletes who have repeatedly kept their end up of the deal. That just depends on us, how we view their commercial worth, not today, not tomorrow, but in the years to come. On the many brands out there, will they continue to see these players for all that they stand for? Not just this particular triumph, but also the struggles and the obstacles that they've had to endure and overcome to get here. Of fighting against the tide constantly, that's what I want to leave you with. Two neighbors united by geography, culture and love for sport, yet divided by pride, politics and ego. Canada and America, who share the longest peaceful border in the world, are now standing on opposite sides of it. The latest flashpoint has been the Baseball World Series. It's cast a worrying glimpse into the future because next year these very two countries will co-host the FIFA Men's World Cup. And recent events all say that this might just be a warning sign of what's to come. Now, Canada and America's sporting story has always been a bit complicated. Ice hockey made them rivals, basketball made them teammates. Baseball was supposed to be their common ground. But this year's World Series showdown between the LA Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays reignited something far deeper than just sporting competition. It was political, it was emotional, and at times it was downright ugly. The Toronto Blue Jays, Canada's only team in Major League Baseball, carried the hopes of an entire nation. Almost 45% of the country tuned in to watch the final. A national event, 32 years in the making, and for much of it, it looked like the Jays would pull off a fairy tale. They were inches away from glory, but the Dodgers snatched it away in a classic American comeback story that tasted more like revenge than a victory. But more than this moment, it was how the series really panned out that really stands out. Boos for the US national anthem, jeers echoing through Toronto's Rogers Centre. It wasn't team versus team, it was country versus country. Now, earlier this year, during the Four Nations face-off, the Canadian crowd booed the American anthem. Before that, NBA arenas saw similar tensions whenever Toronto Raptors faced any of the American heavyweights. From ice rinks to basketball courts, from political podiums to baseball diamonds, it's becoming clear the borders are open and the wounds, they're beginning to show. Adding fuel to the fire is US politics. Donald Trump's recent invitation to the Dodgers to celebrate their World Series triumph over the Blue Jays at the White House is just another attempt to stoke the fire. Because in Trump's trademark fashion, this wasn't just a congratulatory gesture. It was a statement, a symbolic America wins again moment. No, he hasn't called Canada the 51st state, not yet, but the message is clear. In sport and in diplomacy, America leads and Canada follows. And that's what's really upsetting Canadians. But here's where things get truly concerning. These two countries, divided by sport, politics and pride, are about to go and co-host the biggest event in world football, the 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup. It's a tournament that will feature 48 nations, 16 host cities, and there's billions of dollars in investment here. A mega event meant to showcase unity, global collaboration, and shared celebration. But if this baseball episode is any indication, unity is the last thing on display. Because while Mexico, the third co-host, has football running through its veins, America and Canada are still trying to find their footballing identities. And for that, they need each other. And it's not like Mexico and America's relations are any good either. We've seen that being well documented. They need coordination, respect, and synergy. But if rivalry surpasses and replaces respect, if politics seeps into the pitch, the biggest football festival in North America could turn into a logistical and diplomatic nightmare. History tells us that sport can either divide or unite countries. The miracle on ice united America during the Cold War. The 1994 FIFA World Cup brought a divided USA together through football. So the real test for both America and Canada here now is not just how they play their games, but how they handle each other. Because next year, the world will be watching, not just for goals, but for grace, not just for skill out on the pitch, but for sportsmanship. Canada and America have every reason to celebrate each other, their history, their culture, their shared passion. But lately, every anthem, every pitch, every handshake, it feels like a line in the sand. If these two nations can't come together on the field, how will they welcome the world to their field next year? The World Cup will test more than footballing infrastructure. It will test diplomacy, identity, and maturity. Because rivalries are fine, resentment is not. Maybe Trump needs to be reminded of just that if he wants America to produce a spectacle at the 2026 World Cup. They called it the Heaven Premier League, a cricket dream born in the mountains of Jammu and Kashmir, an event that promised hope, revival, and a rare event. International cricket stars lighting up one of the most scenic regions in the world. But what began as a fairy tale has now descended into a full-blown nightmare. The organizers are gone, the players are unpaid, and what was meant to be heaven for sport has turned into hell for all involved. A privately organized tournament, the Heaven Premier League, began on October 25th. It was billed as a fusion of cricket, entertainment, and tourism, a chance to showcase Jammu and Kashmir as a new sporting destination. Big international names like Chris Gayle, Martin Guptill, Jesse Ryder, Richard Levy and Tessera Pereira were all roped in. From India, of course, there were former stars like Praveen Kumar and Parvez Rasool who were all part of that lineup. The finale was scheduled for November 8th. But before they could even reach that stage, the dream unraveled. By day 10, everything had fallen apart. Cricketers realized their payments hadn't arrived. Calls to organisers weren't being answered, and then came the shocker. Hotel bills were unpaid. Imagine this, players and officials being locked into their rooms by hotel management, refusing to let them leave until the dues were cleared. International cricketers stranded in India, locked into their rooms and humiliated. In the same country that boasts of being the most powerful cricket board in the world, where international stars come flocking to. Now, sure, the BCCI had nothing to do with this, of course, but for a cricket-crazy country that just celebrated a World Cup triumph, this is terrible optics. All because a few individuals sold a false dream of turning Kashmir into a global cricketing paradise. And that's exactly why these cricketers agreed to come. Because for them, it wasn't just a paycheck, it was about being part of a larger story. And cricket and India, of course, are almost synonymous. They believed they were only helping build a bridge, one more tournament in the country, to show the world that Jammu and Kashmir was ready for big-ticket international attention. A message that said Kashmir is open for sport, for peace and for opportunity. Why not? But now that dream has been shattered. Credibility crushed, trust broken, and the damage irrevocably deep. This isn't just a story of unpaid bills. It's about what this fiasco means for the entire sporting ecosystem. From local players here hoping for exposure, to authorities trying to bring in investors, to fans who thought this was their moment under the sun. Everyone has been let down. This was Kashmir's time to shine, a tournament post-Pahalgam that was to symbolize something more than just cricket. And that leads to the question that must be asked, where was the oversight? How did a league featuring global icons get greenlit without basic financial checks in place, verified contracts or payment guarantees? Was it greed or was it negligence? Or was it just a desperate attempt to grab the headlines and at any cost? Whatever the answer, the outcome is the same though, a black mark on Kashmir's sporting credibility. And this couldn't have come at a worse time, because just months ago, Jammu and Kashmir was being celebrated as a rising sports hub. From motorsport rallies in the valleys to football tournaments and of course the Winter Games, the region was beginning to rebuild its identity in sports. You could see a sense of optimism, and of course there was momentum as well. That momentum has hit a roadblock here. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Sport isn't just about competition, it's about building trust, and once that gets broken, rebuilding it is harder than winning a trophy. The Heaven Premier League could have been the start of something extraordinary. Instead, it's become a cautionary story of what happens when there is no accountability. The Valley has waited for its moment for years, and clearly this wasn't the image it wanted to promote. Paradise deserves better, and so do the players. Time for last serve. England stalwart David Beckham was officially knighted by King Charles III. The former England forward was recognised for his contribution to football and of course his charity work, and it was done so at the Buckingham Palace. Just like nobody can bend it like Beckham, maybe nobody can be knighted with the same panache as Beckham was. Take a look. That wraps it up here on First Sports. I'll of course see you again tomorrow. Till then, do take care. Bye-bye.